Blessed day, soul family. Welcome back. Martial Mystic Calendar Series 2026 Wellness Wednesday, conducting the Symphony of Wellness and elaborating on the relationship. Um, we've been kind of diving deeper into the concept of regulation and exploring new and different ways to look at the concept of regulation. And what I came up with was in in Mandarin, the idea of regulation is conveyed by the word tiao. And we'll talk about that, but we're also going to talk about the connection to soil. We'll talk about the springtime, what that means for our organs, how to adjust, and what to do in this time for health and wellness. And then also, if you're an athlete, how best to go about your training. Um, and then we'll come back to the idea of conducting the symphony of wellness. So let's first look at the movement, the Tai Chi movement for today. And it's good to look at this one because it's exploring the subtlety of of movement. In this case, the chest bow. So with this movement rollback, rollback is a signature postural and foundational component of Tai Chi training. And here it is right here, rolling back. It's an interesting movement. You might think there's a concept of pulling back. In wrestling, there's a technique called arm drag that can be associated, I think, with this movement rollback. And I remember using this movement in competition. It happens really, really fast. It was just amazing. From this view, you can see the upper hand there turning and then having a little bit of half moon. Let's look at that again. There's a little bit of half moon right here. Notice that half moon right here. That half moon is part of a circle right here. And before that, there's a little bit of a circle that happens as well, starting from the elbow and then there. So what we're looking at is the chest bow. Right here, the chest bow closes. I'll show that again. We're talking about subtlety of movement, chest bow closing there, and how that is connected, closing right there, and how that's connected to the movement that propels the arms forward. Again, closing the chest. And that subtlety of the chest bow is really important. As I mentioned, it's going to propel the arm forward. So you've gotten the view of the chest bow. Here it is again. Now you see the arm extend. So in my write-up of this, we talk about the spine and the chest in conjunction. You can see, notice the growth that happens from the leg to the tip of the finger. Right here, right there. Just look at the torso and the spine. See that spinal movement? You can't really see that. It's hard to see that unless you know what you're looking for. That movement is a slight opening of what we call the Mingmen. I'm going to slow it down just a bit more. We'll just spend a little bit of time just kind of looking at this and we'll slow this down and look at this. This is really important, and I'll tell you in a second why. But it's better to feel it and embody it than to look at it and watch it like that because of the intelligence of the movement, and I'll explain why in a second. You can see easily on that drawback the center. So let the reference point be the center here, right here. Look at that movement right there, connected to the leg and then the hand. So as that stretch, and then it comes back. We're looking at a spinal wave in motion here. See that close there? Right now, the spinal wave's starting. Right now. See that spinal wave in the torso happening? And that is the root of the arm, the wrist, and the fingers. We'll look at it again. Right here. See that spine wave happening? That is crucial and key, foundational and important. And those are the kind of movements that you don't really um, know about or unless you do the foundational, the fundamentals like the spinal wave and you train the spinal wave. Why is that important? That's just as important as um, what we looked at yesterday in terms of the feeling, sensing, and the roots. What is at the roots of the movement, right? We're looking at here the structure and the organization and the movement process. This is so in Kung Fu we talk about the roots are the feet and the legs. The trunk is the torso. The hands and the arms are the hands and the arms are the branches and the flowers. All of this movement has to happen first. Look at how these roots have to take hold before the uh, above ground movement can happen. This we can only see this because of the time lapse. And that's the nature of Tai Chi Chuan as well. You can only feel it unless you do it. What we're talking about is the intelligence of nature and interfacing with nature's template, the Tai Chi movement, which is the spiral. The spiral is that which comes out of the spinal wave and gives birth to yin and yang. We looked at this a little bit yesterday, but I wanted to reinforce the idea of how much the spiral we see it in nature. So from ferns to chameleon to the galaxies to the snail to this succulent here, this cacti, even the like plants that send out feelers that have to grab onto fences like squashes and whatnot. Those things send out feelers and then they eventually grab onto the trellis or the fence or what have you, and they hook like a finger. Look at this cactus here inside of a seashell, pine cone. And then you can see here the Fibonacci overlaid on this plant matter here, whatever this plant matter is. So look at this leaf here. This leaf here, this is a really good image right here of the concept. I'm not sure if you can see that. Yeah, yeah. So it's right here above my head. So Look at the spiral nature of this. Now, the question is, where does this black hole go? That is the question. Where does this black hole go? That is the fundamental question that is presented when you look at the spiral, when you look at nature in this way. And it is in this way that we are also trying to connect to the first cell of our body in embryonic breathing, as if you're diving deep into.
Do I smell like goats and dogs and all kinds of things?
Gonna pause here. Just a little bit of a noise there. We're coming back to this. And I just want to mention that it's really hard to stress the importance of this, but this is the nature of what I desire to express in Yin Yang Tai Chi as a peace movement, a literal peace movement. So I want to continue to stress and express that in finding harmony and balance. And as I kind of tell it in this book, excavating the intelligence of nature. When we do this movement, we we engage in nature's intelligence so as to invoke that, bring that into the mind body. And that helps us connect with who we are, what we are, essentially as beings of nature coming from the earth. So I wanted to mention that and talk a little bit about that. Now, so that movement is really challenging to coordinate, right? The movement that I was showing is a lot of things that are going on. There's a lot of things that are going on in Tai Chi. It's complex, right? It's a complex movement, harmonizing the yin, harmonizing the lower body, harmonizing the upper body, harmonizing the timing of the spinal wave, harmonizing the chest bow closing. All of that is very uh, complicated and challenging on the mind. And we talk about the idea of regulating. All those need to be regulated and executed in a timely fashion with the right energy and continue the sustained focus for the beginning of the movement, for the end of the movement, and then for the beginning of the next movement, so as to keep the whole sequence and series all one movement, because that's our desire. Tai Chi is not as complex as some of these other movements. For example, uh, the spring movement. So you can see my partner here doing a simple stretch here, Lohan bows. And these don't necessarily require the focus that Tai Chi requires in terms of organizing and harmonizing all these aspects, rather just following a simple template that has been handed down to us um, from the ancient scholars. This simple movement, massaging of the abdomen, that is the that's as easy as the movements have to be. Massaging of the eyes, because the eyes in springtime are important to massage as they're the external expression of the liver. So the idea of regulating, I wanted to kind of talk about as the conducting, and you and the mind are the conductor of that movement. And and uh and it's better and it's a little easier to think about than having to exercise, right? Think about the concept of exercise. How much stress or pressure does it say does comes up in you when I say exercise or when I say practice, right? But what if I say conduct your body, be the conductor of the symphony of your body, right? And the symphony of your body is how you breathe, the heart rate, how you walk through the forest, how you rub the hands together as a conductor of the symphony of movement. Then it gives you the idea that you are, if you will, managing and sort of ordering and conducting this whole room of instruments from the those that may keep the beat to the harmony and the melody and what have you. And that's a kind of it's a good way of kind of expanding on the idea of regulation, the concept of organizing the orchestra. And then what this does is gives us an idea of Diao. And Diao is the concept of tone. And interestingly, uses the same character as Tiao. But instead of Tiao as regulating, Diao conveys the concept of tone. And tone gives us the frequency. The frequency gives us the feeling. And the feeling is essentially what gives us the quality of energy. So when we do all these movements, like when you do your exercise or when you eat well or when you get up from sleeping, these things to to build wellness in oneself, you are the conductor of all these conditions that are going to maintain your health and wellness, and they should give you the tone of harmony and the frequency of balance and then the feeling and the quality of wholeness. And that's one of the other things that if you study the characters, the Mandarin characters, the concept of wholeness is in the root of these characters. So here we're looking at the massage point, the three yin junction, the san yin jiao on the ankle, and using that again, not as something that you have to do to be healthy, but as the conductor in employing employing your energy and deploying strategies for your health and wellness as the conductor. And so that's the concept that I wanted to convey today as what we're talking about Wellness Wednesdays for the springtime and the conducting of the Symphony of Wellness. So I'm going to finish off here by just sharing with you an image and a couple of tips that I found here. It's just real simple stuff connected to the springtime. So some of the things that you can do here, you see the green image is pointing to a massage point on the foot. Definitely recommend that you try that out. A couple of other things that you can do in the springtime in terms of movement, starting to do some physical activity as the liver chi is opening. You want to move that chi out, simple walking, exercise, stretching. These spring Qigong movements that I was just showing are easy. You can find those at um, Tai Chi and Qigong with Javi and Nona. Nettles are good for allergies. Uh, Dandelion will kickstart your body's natural detoxification process, supporting liver's function. The acupressure points that I just showed, San Yin Jiao on the ankle. This one here, liver 3. It says emotional and spiritual level indications, eases depression, releases frustration, eases anger, and eases resentment. These sort of energies that can influence and impede that frequency or that tone that I was talking about as the conductor you're trying to maintain and harmonize. So the liver thrives on freedom of movement and it hates stress. That's what it says here on this website, which I'll link. integrate stress relieving practices. So that's why massage is key. And breath work, yoga, to harmonize the flow of energy. So slow, methodical, simple movements can just um, be they can mitigate that stress and be super helpful. Opt for foods rich in greens, chlorophyll, leafy greens. They'll aid the liver in processing toxins efficiently, and subsequently, they'll mitigate those stress responses of frustration, anger, and then lemon water. I didn't know that, but lemon water is good because of the sourness. We want to have that sourness aspect um, on the tongue and in the mouth. So that's going to support the liver as well. I hope that helps. You are the conductor when it comes to regulating your harmonious chi flow. You are the conductor, and you are employing the body. You are conducting the breath. You are conducting the mind, the chi, and the spirit, so that you create that tone, that frequency, and that quality that you want to have as the conductor of the Symphony of Wellness. That's it for Wellness Wednesday. Until tomorrow, next time, may your chi flow smoothly and remember to embrace the woo.